What's up, guys? Welcome back to episode 11 of the Eyes Wide Open podcast. I'm your host, Kaya. Thank you guys so much for tuning back in with me this week. I am so happy to be sitting here with you. I'm in one of my favorite places, which is the park. I'm in nature. You guys know I love to record in nature. I figured that I would actually come and bring you me chilling here, talking about everything today. So before we get started and jumping into our topic on energy vampires, I do want to give a quick shout out to Fly at Night podcast with my dear friend Carl. He's the host, he's the creator, and the wonderful genius of a person who put that whole podcast together. And it's just an entertainment podcast wherein he talks about a lot of really unique topics in entertainment. He is a DJ based out of Orlando, Florida. So I'm going to link it below. I was featured on an episode of that two and a half weeks ago. So I'm going to put it down below and you guys can check out that episode and a few more if you want to hear my thoughts on that. Okay. Let's see. Let's get into our energy vampires. Let's bring this up, okay? I do have my notes right here, on my phone. Your girl is prepared. I'm never not gonna be. Let's talk about what an energy vampire is. So an energy vampire is just a person who kind of like siphons your energy. I'm missing some nails. It is what it is. I'm a human. How y'all doing? So energy vampires are individuals who siphon your energy. They come to you because you bring them a lot of like good, positive vibes and good energy. Sometimes people are energy vampires and they don't realize it. Sometimes people do realize it and they don't care. Sometimes you could be an energy vampire and you may not realize it. And I am here to tell you what it is and help you identify if you are being one or how to identify some that are in your life, okay? So, energy vampires have a tendency to be selfish, self-centered. They could be emotionally immature. They may unintentionally or intentionally drain your energy. They feed off of your compassionate nature, your willingness to give, and that could be in time or energy or just genuine love as a whole. They don't really have boundaries for how much they will take from you, and they will take as much as you are willing to give. It holds no like threshold for them. They're just like, all right. Let's see. Energy vampires don't have an intention of really pouring back into you. They look at it as, well, you're giving it, so what's the problem? You know what I mean? They don't have the intention to want to create balance within you or create anything reciprocal with you. It's almost like I feel like a mental thing that they feel like giving too much can drain them of what they have. So essentially it's like they're scared of losing their resources or their energy, so they just want to take other people's a little bit. You might not even realize it until an energy vampire leaves from you that they are an energy vampire, because what they do is like suction you, like they will create that need. And if you are a giving person or a very loving person, you would be a person who just out of the kindness of your heart consistently wants to help or consistently wants to show people that love. That's okay. It's not bad. I'm going to be the person here to tell you, show you what you do to create that positive balance in between you so that you don't get taken advantage of by energy vampires, okay? Let's see. Your relationship around them usually would revolve around what you can do for them. So if you're finding that you can't do something for them and then they're just kind of like non-existent, you might be encountering an energy vampire a little bit. They are oftentimes people closest to you. They are family members, spouses, they're your friends. They can even be a job. A job can 1000% be an energy vampire. I've experienced that with my first job for sure, where it was just like constantly being called in and not really compensated properly for the work that I was doing. So you have to be aware of that kind of stuff, because you know what I mean? The point of the energy vampire is kind of like, what can I get out of the situation? So they're going to really try you a little bit, okay? Let's see. Energy vampires usually tend to look for people who are kind and compassionate. They see the good in everyone. They're empaths usually, and those are kind of like that prime audience. They're the people who get leached onto the most by energy vampires. And remember, I say that they can be intentional or unintentional. Some people don't even realize that they're doing that. I have been an energy vampire before in a friendship, and I didn't even realize it until like way later, and I'm like, oh wow, ugh, yuck, what was I doing? You know, like I have to, that's not okay at all. So it's okay if you ever get to that point where you're being that way. It's fine. You can always overcome it. You can always be better. You can always do better and make adjustments so that you are not being this way to people in your life as well. Energy vampires do not like boundaries. It stops them from having whatever they want in the situation, and they really don't accept accountability for their actions. So if you're encountering energy vampires, they don't really see anything wrong with what they're doing. People who don't see anything wrong with just taking from people, I mean, like, you know, opportunist, you could call it that, I guess, but there's a little bit of a difference. You guys know what I mean. It can look like codependency, even narcissism at times. And if you find yourself always giving these people the benefit of the doubt, understand that they do need love. Energy vampires do need love. They need compassion, and they usually cling to people that will give it to them because they don't know how to provide that for themselves. They don't know how to give themselves that type of love or that type of energy. And that type of forgiveness. So they look for people who are very kind and gentle and genuine that can just give that to them. That nurturing energy that a lot of us have naturally. When I've been in the face of energy vampires, I've been told things like, well, nobody asked you to give so much. You could always say no. But saying no sometimes creates an issue with the people that you're saying no to. And at that point, you may find yourself questioning what you're doing when you set boundaries. Balancing things out can feel kind of wrong, but that's okay. Still balance yourself out because you don't want to be enabling people who are energy vampires. That's the other thing. If you're enabling it, you're creating, you know, the space for them to take advantage of you. And that's something that I had to learn. I have been on the opposite end as well, where I give, and then I'm like, oh wow, boundary, hello, where are you? So it's okay. You have to learn how to assert a boundary there. So how you protect yourself from energy vampires and against energy vampires is, one, identify if you are attracting them and why. Make sure that you set healthy boundaries for yourself. Once you set boundaries, you will likely drive people away from you because they will be preying on you for your good nature. But when you set boundaries, a lot of times energy vampires will push it back on you, saying that you're not, you know, good natured, or you're not being nice, or you're not doing for me. So just understand that they are oftentimes looking for that. They're looking for you to do that kind of stuff for them. And it's really weird. But if your boundaries don't work, make sure you cut them out of your life, or keep communication to as minimum as possible. And that could work even if you're the enabler. Like if you're a person who enables an energy vampire, still cut the communication back, because maybe you need to strengthen how you put boundaries in your life. I know that was how it was for me. I have a high tolerance for BS, and I had to learn how to bring that ceiling from like way up here to like down here, like underneath my head, right up in here. Once you start getting past here, once you start getting into here, just make sure you create a healthy environment. When I say cut them off, or like cut, you know, the communication, create a healthier amount of communication between you and this person. Attempt to do that. Sometimes that's going to be limiting the communication. Other times that's going to be totally cutting people off. You will know, you will be able to determine it. You'll be able to balance it out. You'll be able to create like healthier ways that this should be for you in your life. And there's nothing wrong with that. You have to do that for yourself a lot of the time. If you find yourself encountering people who just leech onto you to like take from you or to have from you, you will see. Lower your expectations of these people. Okay? Stop hoping that they change. Stop hoping that they get right. Stop believing that they will suddenly give into you just because you are, you know, giving into them. you're setting yourself up to be taken advantage of repeatedly and to continue to get hurt again and again and again. You know, women can do this to men, men can do this to women, men on men, women on women, jobs. Again, like I said, it can be anybody. You have to lower the expectation. Like, I don't expect this from this person. And I feel like when you know what you can expect from a person, you begin to understand how to better deal with them. And it creates, in turn, a healthier relationship with them, because your expectation goes from being like way up here for them to maybe a little bit lower. Like, maybe you have to realize they don't have the capacity to do, you know what I mean, what you think they should do, or what you feel would be right. You have to set a boundary for yourself so that you're safe and you're good. Sometimes people just don't have the capacity to understand that. They don't have the capacity to give off of their self like that. And that's what I mean. Some people it's intentional, some people it's unintentional, but you do have to allow room for people to grow, for people to develop that. I had to learn, losing different situations, I had to learn how to be a better friend. Sorry, there's a car, of course. I had to learn to be a better friend. I had to learn not to siphon people's energy just the same. It's okay, we all go through it. I don't want to say we all go through it, but some of us go through it and we have to learn. I feel like I'm able to speak on it because I've been in both sides before. Let's see. When you can't give an energy vampire what they want, they will eventually go to someone who can give them what they want. So don't feel bad for cutting them off or asserting your boundaries or doing what you need to do for yourself, because at the end of the day, they are going to do what they need to do for themselves. If you can't give them, the right amount of time that they want, they're just going to find someone that can give them time. If it's sex and you can't give them that, they're going to find somebody that will give them that. Like, it's just a process, you know what I mean? You have to know your boundaries and assert your boundaries. That's the biggest key thing, is set them boundaries, my beers. You'll only be as good to an energy vampire as long as they can utilize you. That's essentially it. Once they realize they can't utilize you or manipulate you to get what they want, they'll likely just toss you to the side, toss you in the trash. They'll be discarded in favor of someone that they can use or can get the thing that they want in the way that they want it. Make sure that you do a reality check, and that you aren't being an energy vampire to other people. Ensure that you're taking accountability for your actions and how you treat people and how you deal with people on a daily basis, and just doing a quick self-check. Like, am I, asking too much? Am I being too much of a leech onto this person? You've got to make sure that you do your own self-check, so that you aren't just projecting onto other people that's what they're being, because that's going to be a big key for a lot of people. Our emotions are really important to us and our daily happiness, so you don't want to get where you can't work well because you have an energy vampire kind of honing in, siphoning all of that off of you, your emotional energy and the beautifulness within you. Okay, make sure that you learn to love yourself unconditionally, unapologetically, because energy vampires sometimes can make you feel like you're wrong for taking that time to do that. Nothing wrong with that. If you are encountering a person who understands and respects your boundaries, that's not an energy vampire. That just may be a person who they need a little something different. Maybe they need somebody else who can do something for them in the right way that you can't, and they respect that in you. Energy vampire will respect your time. They will respect your efforts. They will respect you as an individual, and that includes your boundaries. People who do not respect your boundaries, there goes the problems. That's energy vampires. They're gonna be like, really? Why? What's going on? They have an attitude with you, and you got to be like, I don't do no attitude over this. This is my boundary. This is what I can do. Sorry. It is what it is. And you don't have to be mean about it. You want everything to be in your heart space. So you want to be able to communicate to people properly. Why? That way you have clear communication and there's no issues. Once you deal with people who you've had people who talk to you and then ghost you, and then talk to you and then ghost you. That can be like full on energy vampire. Like, oh wow, this person is not even respecting you know what I'm saying, me enough to like talk to me or tell me, you know what I'm saying, that's okay. It happens. You learn from it. You set your boundaries. Eventually, a lot of times I notice with energy vampires, they're able to come around later in life after they've understood things, learned things, and they're either more enlightened or they're still an energy vampire and looking to see what else they can get and test your patience and your boundaries. A lot of times an energy vampire won't respect your boundaries, but they're going to push up on them. They're going to test it a little bit, okay? Make sure that you, again, like I said, do things out of your heart space, suppress the ego, don't use manipulation, you know, against people. Make sure that you're speaking from like a genuine place of like, hey, this is how I feel, you know, this is what I need. I'm sorry, but this is it. You have to be honest with people. Now, obviously, if people are like doing jacked up stuff to you, and, you know, do what you need to do. But if you're able to just clearly communicate to people, hey, this is my boundary and I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to do that for you, and they give you a really bad time, you already started your boundaries, nothing further for you to do. All you can do is put things in place so that they understand, and you have to hope that they respect your boundaries. If they do, it's likely a friend. If a friend can respect your boundaries, it means they're not going to push up on you. But an energy vampire, oh, they're going to be like, let me see what else I can get. Let me see what else I can get. Let me see if I can just keep going. Can't keep doing that. Make sure that you stay grounded on a spiritual basis. I do a lot of meditation, a lot of just deep thought, of course. I come sit in nature like this a lot. I do a lot of reading. I just do things that bring me internal happiness so that I don't feel the need to deal with an energy vampire. Because a lot of times energy vampires are charming. They're really sweet and they're really kind. But you still have to have your own boundaries no matter how sweet or kind they are, okay? Don't feel bad for choosing yourself. Don't feel bad for leaving people. Everybody can't go with you. A lot of times leaving an energy vampire behind will hurt because it's going to feel like, man, like I said, they're charming. Like, or if you low-key enjoy their company or their time, it's going to be really sad to, you know, like separate from that. But it'll be the best decision you ever made. Later in life, you will realize like, wow, this person was draining me of everything I had, my energy, my time, my resources. And I was just sitting here feeling like nothing after they left from me. Like I said, if it is your friend, they understand the boundaries. If it is an energy vampire, they're not. They're going to keep pressing and forcing and pushing. And, you know, you just have to understand. Everybody doesn't have the capacity to give in the same way or do things in the same way. But energy vampires are going to consistently just suction. I call it the siphon. Think about those vampires in Blade. And that's just what I think about. Whenever he needed that life back into him, he right on her neck, right? Just right there. Ooh, that's a vein, hell of a vein, right? But you'll feel better and you will feel more stable within yourself when you let energy vampires go, when you stop dealing with people who are only there to use you for what you can do for them. Make sure that you are clear in your boundaries, you set boundaries, make sure that you're around people who respect your boundaries and not people who just want to walk all over you like you are a doormat, because that is not going to work out, right? It's not going to work out. If you are enabling an energy vampire, just take a moment to do a self-check within you. Ask yourself, are you being honest and communicative about what you can or cannot do to make the situation better for yourself in that regard? You know, if that's being like, hey, sorry, I can't do that. Sometimes you have to say that, hey, sorry, I can't do that. That's not going to work for me. Those are all phrases that energy vampires, to be honest, they hate to hear that. But you still have to let them know that this ain't working for me. I'm sorry. That's okay. We all have a life. We all have things that we're doing. You don't necessarily owe anybody your free time. You don't owe anybody all of what you have within you. You just want to make sure that energy vampires aren't sucking you dry for those things, that they are being kind, that they are being reciprocal, and that they're being real with you. You will know energy vampires, like I said. Just kind of go back through and listen to the examples I gave and why I talk about energy vampires and what I detail them out to be. Like I said, selfish, self-centered, non-reciprocal. They don't respect your boundaries or you. They don't respect your time. It's okay if you were being that. It's fine. I personally can identify I have been an energy vampire before, and it's not cool. It's not something I ever want to go back to being to anyone in a friendship. You definitely want to make sure that you are respecting what people need, respecting their space, respecting their time, respecting their energy. If they need more time than maybe you're accustomed to, give them that time. You know what I mean? Everybody has to learn in their own right. But if a person is just constantly popping up to get, like, hey, what's up? I'm ready to get my take. But they don't, who goes to work and don't work and gets paid? You know what I mean? Like, where do they do that at? You don't get to just clock in and go home and then collect your paycheck at the end, right? You do have to put in a little bit of a work. And I think that a lot of energy vampires aren't really willing to put in the work to a friendship, a job, a relationship, etc., in order to give you something kind. If it's a job, a lot of times it can look like they're not giving you proper raises. Make sure you make a case for that. I didn't ever do that in my first job very heavily, and I wish I had been like, hey, I'm worth more than that. You know what I mean? We've all been in situations like that. Make sure that you look at yourself and that self-value and know that you have self-worth. You don't have to be in any situation that makes you feel worthless or unworthy. And if you are feeling that way, self-identify, self-reflect on who's in your life, who's around you, and why you're feeling that way. Sometimes it's an internal struggle within. Sometimes it's that energy vampire that's just from you. But that is kind of my take on energy vampires in a very basic way so that you guys can kind of understand it. Make sure that you protect yourself from energy vampires. I use my crystals. Hello, hearts. Rose quartz for my heart chakra. Hello on my Amazonite and my tiger's eye. I love these. I keep them with me most of the time at all times. And set those boundaries. Make sure that you love yourself enough to be true to who you are as a person. You know what I mean? And make sure that you're not projecting. Make sure that you're not an energy vampire projecting onto someone, okay? Because that's not cool either, because then that's a whole different ball game, projection. I might have to do an episode on that as well. But in a spiritual sense, a lot of times when you have a lot of positive, high vibrational energy, you will encounter people who need that. They're so low vibe that they're like, oh my God, the light. Like, I think about the little fly box that has the light beaming off of it, and the flies are like, and they get zapped really bad. You've got to be that light a lot of the time in people's lives. And sometimes energy vampires, they're so off balance within their own vibrational selves that they don't even realize that they're suctioning like that, because they just know they need it, but they don't know how to give it properly. And that's why I say it can be intentional or unintentional, and it's key to pay attention to which one that is, okay? Try to be understanding. Don't get angry, don't get mad. Just understand that a lot of people don't even understand that they do it. They don't even realize how it's hurting people. They don't realize how it's sucking the life out of you, because they look at you as like, you're so high vibe, you have a lot more to give. I need some of that. Doesn't matter. Doesn't freaking matter. Continue to remain high vibrational. Continue to do things out of the heart space and not the ego space. Don't let it get to you ego-wise. Kind of breathe a little bit, take it down, take the ego down a little bit and bring this up a little bit. Meet it and be like, how do I handle this maturely, properly? How do I stay high vibrational and let people know where my boundaries are and what I can do and what I can't do, okay? It's all good. You might make somebody mad, but stay high vibe, because people who are low try to come up high, but it doesn't always work. It's why they're like reaching and trying to just suction you. They're trying so hard. You could always come down to their level, but they might not be able to raise up to your level. So just make sure that you are remaining high vibrational while understanding that low vibe people do need love. They do. You send love. You send genuine communication. You send honest communication. Don't feel like you have to cuss people out. Don't feel like you have to attack people. Show love, give love, and do things out of your heart space. Okay. That's the best advice I can give to that, is set your boundaries and do things out of the heart space. And sometimes that's doing things out of the heart space that is best for you, your own self-love, okay? Because if you're not good for you, you're definitely not going to be good for nobody else. And if you're vibing high and then you all of a sudden decide to take a deep dive and vibe low, you may as well be an energy vampire with them. You may as well be right on that same level. So remain high vibrational, okay? Help them understand how they can maybe come up to your level. Help them understand if they're willing to understand. Have a conversation with them about what they can do to be more balanced with you. If that's communicate better, if that is them respecting your boundaries a little bit better. Like, sometimes it's just having a conversation, okay? It doesn't have to be this like whole free-for-all negative Nancy, like dogging people out and stuff like that. You do want to make sure that you are vibing high in heart space at all times, okay? I say at all times as if I do it. I don't do it. I definitely have my low moments. I pray about it. I try to understand how I can be better and more high vibrational. So sorry guys, there's just bees and all kind of stuff. They keep buzzing around me. I'm like, no, I don't do bees. But this concludes our episode today, and it's been really nice to talk about this, and I feel like such a good like heart space talking about it and helping you guys understand and identify how you can maneuver your life to be a little bit better with regards to energy vampires. Make sure you guys tune back in with me next week on Wednesday, and that you go check out the Eyes Wide Open Pod on Instagram. And if you would like to email me, I am also at Eyes Wide Open Podcast on YouTube and Gmail. Let's see. You can find this podcast on Anchor, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Boom. It's visual on YouTube. Hello. I think I'm going to start doing more visual episodes like this in the park. I really enjoy this. It's so beautiful out here. I don't even know what the temperature is in sunny California, but I can't get enough of it. Again, make sure you guys check out Fly at Night podcast. The link is in the description box below to everything that you guys will need for this. That's the link for the Spotify, link for the Instagram, link for the YouTube, all of that good stuff. So thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate you tenfold all the way through, and I will see you guys next week.